Hey, it's Direct Response Playbook. I'm your host, Travis Ketchum, founder of Campaign Refinery, joined with David Cartulano, the newsletter dude.
Hey, what's up, Travis? How you doing?
I'm doing great, man. So today's kind of a fun one because it reminds me a lot about, Super Mario, and I'm kind of a gamer. Do you play games?
Oh my gosh, I best 10,000 hours of my childhood. So yeah.
Yeah, cool. Well, gamification is really interesting because it's taking the concepts from video gaming, the things that draw you into a story and keep you engaged and how have you, chasing that next level, the next unlock, the next gear drop, whatever, can be applied in a lot of other areas of our lives and make a lot of our experiences that could otherwise be kind of drab and dull pretty interesting. And I think that that's where today's topic of email gamification comes into play. Have you heard about email gamification before?
Yeah, I've been on a couple of email lists where it's almost like a choose your own adventure and you have to click a link and this link is going to take you to this specific email. And then depending on what you do in that specific email might take you to another. So it's definitely more of an interesting way to bring people on your list. And depending on your industry, it would be a bad idea not to do it, right? But Travis, I know you have much more experience in gamification than the sort of simple games that I would set up. So I'd love to hear your take on it.
Yeah, so I mean, what you described, I think, is what a lot of people often think about when they think about email gamification, and basically a dynamic experience, right? So, as you said, choose your own adventure, choose your own chapter, kind of thing. But there are more broad ways you can implement gamification that have sort of pinpoint targeted examples and outcomes that you can achieve. So, the very first one that comes to mind that I think people often love when I tell them about it is the idea of essentially gamifying a lead magnet even. So that very first experience of using scarcity and psychology to drive the outcome, which is what they told you they wanted when they opted in, the subscriber wanted when they opted in, to get them to actually do it, right? Because oftentimes you put up a page, you say, I got this thing, I got a newsletter, or I got a PDF, or I got a video series or a webinar, or whatever. Enter your information and I'll send it to you. And that's all well and great. But funny enough, from a psychology standpoint, most people will submit their information and then mentally go, ding, done. Right. And then they go back to looking at the candy land of icons at the top of their Chrome tabs, and they decide to go on their own adventure that doesn't have to do with you anymore. And so by adding some scarcity to your lead magnet, where what we do is we say, hey, that thing you opted in for that's highly valuable, if you don't go open and click that email in the next 10 minutes, we're going to retroactively remove access from it in your inbox. And this is a very, very powerful trigger. And it has taken what most people get, 1 to 3% of the emails they send get clicked. 60% or more of the emails that we send to the same kind of leads will click our lead magnet inside of 10 minutes, which has a whole host of benefits from deliverability to, setting the tone of the relationship to also showing that if you don't do what we say we're going to do, like there will be actual repercussions. It's not the perpetually never ending sale that keeps getting extended, right? Which takes all of the air and trust out of the relationship, as well as it's something different and unique and interesting. And so those three things combined are really compelling experience. But you can also sprinkle something along the entire overarching subscriber experience. So if you decided, hey, I want to get people to open and click more of my emails, you can actually configure inside of our system, at least, points for opening, points for clicking links, and then create rewards. So you can say, when you get to 500 rewards, you get this free training. When you get 1,000, points, you get this special discount. You can create a never-ending hedonic treadmill of rewards and incentives to keep them drawn in and caring about your email, even if that one-off email you sent wasn't the most interesting thing to them. They'll still open and click it because you're training them to open and click your emails. So have you heard about gamification like this before?
I have. I know that I've used the scarcity method that you've mentioned. I've actually used that and I learned it from you and it worked extremely well, particularly like quickly. Like I implemented it and I saw results the next day. So that was wild. I've also one of the things that I think we should also touch on is getting referrals to the email list and gathering points and stuff like that. We're nerds, like we play video games and stuff like that. So you might have been way more cooler in high school than us, and that's fine. But
I'll almost
what
guarantee that if you're listening, you're probably cooler than I was in high school.
and I think, I mean, and like that being said, how does it translate into revenue? Well, if you can get a subscriber to refer another subscriber, you didn't have to pay for that subscriber via ads, right? And now you're spreading via word of mouth. And doing that by having a simple gamified referral system, I mean, that's huge. That is absolutely huge, because if one person refers another person, do the math, right? How many people on a 1,000 person list can I get to refer me? 10%. Okay. Then I have 11,000? Holy God, 1,100 people on the list. And now I have 100 new people who might each refer another 100 people, right? So the numbers can get pretty crazy, and that's why it's so important to have some type of referral system in place and gamified. So yeah, that's
Definitely impacts your customer acquisition cost, definitely impacts your engagement and deliverability, because by incentivizing them to care and be interesting, and let's just be honest, most marketing is boring, right? And so if you can find a way to make it fun, to give them something to look forward to, you're being different and you can stand out because you're willing to put in that bit of extra effort to make sure that they have a truly delightful experience.
Yeah. And who wouldn't like if you refer 100 people, we send you a free blank by physical mail, right? Does that take systems and operations? Yes, absolutely. Are other email lists doing it? No, they're not, right? So that's something that if you can allocate some manpower behind it, that's something that can definitely grow acquisition. And it doesn't even have to be, you don't have to send them like an albino tiger. You could send them a water bottle. You could send them a microphone. Find out what your audience likes and then find something under $100 that's still like really cool to them, and then send them a little something, right? Run a contest, right? There can be more than just simple email back and forth.
So think about how crazy people go for free t-shirts at sporting events, right? The actual cost of the thing doesn't necessarily dictate the level of enthusiasm per se. So it's important to keep in mind. And also think about, when you talked about the referral mechanism component, how much, in your own life, if you just think about your own experiences, do you value differently if a friend tells you about something versus you saw an ad about something? So not only are you getting more people, quote unquote, for free, right, as a bonus for the mechanism happening in the first place, think about the level of implied trust and care and interest a friend-to-friend referral has, because it's no longer about you, boasting about your authority or how cool you are or whatever. It's someone that they have a relationship with pre-existing, telling them that you're cool, which is way more valuable.
Mm-hmm. Much better lead. Much better lead. I know that co-registration leads, and if you're listening to this, you may or may not know what that means, but co-registration leads are all the rage these days, except the lead quality is just so much lower compared to a referral. So much lower.
Yeah, not all leads are created equal. That's kind of the main takeaway I get from that.
There you go. Yeah. What other gamification ways have you employed that people might not know about?
Sure. I mean, there's, you did briefly mention on contests. I have a deep history with contests because I ran a contest platform for a lot of years that generated over 30 million opt-ins. And so, there's lots of ways to engage people from that regard. There's actual contests, there's weighted draws, there's sweepstakes, right? There's various ways of pulling that off that are interesting. Also, I think, not to overlook it, but reply campaigns can be interesting where you can, give new and unique experiences based on replies or bonuses or surprise incentives. And I think the surprise bonuses as well is sort of a tack onto that can be used either with a reply campaign or tucked away into other parts of your marketing where you can surprise and delight people with experiences and value that is relevant, but they didn't necessarily expect. So you kind of double down on that under promise, over deliver aspect. And so they always think, well, what's behind door number 3? It gets them
Right.
thinking about, this person treats me right and gives me what I more than I could ever have asked for. And so that aspect of marketing is definitely, I think, overlooked and undervalued.
100%. So, as someone who has been gamifying email lists for longer than I've probably been on this planet, what do you think is the simplest game for someone listening to this to implement in the next 24 hours?
Next 24 hours has got to be that lead magnet flow, right? Where you're basically adding real scarcity to the lead magnet and you're taking it away if they don't do what you need. That is the 24-hour mark. If you're like, hey, I'm on a deadline to do something cool, that one's super easy, because that one you can make the tweaks and implement that in under an hour, at least in my own experience. So I think that's the lowest hanging fruit. And the second most interesting and easiest to execute on is that surprise and delight sort of idea, right? You say, hey, take a look at my existing sequences, take a look at my existing subscriber set. Is there a way that I can give them an unannounced bonus, an unannounced piece of value, an unannounced thing that's going to really help them move the needle forward, that will buy me a lot of goodwill and make this a much more compelling experience? Those two things, I think you could probably execute both in under 24 hours. And those are the things that I think will really move the needle, both in the immediate engagement, interaction, relationship setting, as well as the goodwill piece. And I would love to implement it before you ask for the sale, right? So somewhere where you surprise and delight them, and then maybe a few days or a week later, start nudging into a sale. I think those two things could gamify your email the easiest and the most readily, no matter what technology stack you're using or whatever else.
Sweet, sweet, and
Cool.
that's perfect. That's it.
Well, yeah. Hopefully that answers all the questions on email gamification for now. Did you have anything else to add, David?
No, I think you nailed it.
Cool. Well, thanks for watching. Give us a like if you learned something new. Hit subscribe if you want to learn something new on a regular basis. If you want to, read more about it, we have a full blog post about email gamification link down below. And if you want to learn about how to take your newsletter to the next step and implement some of these gamification tools, like referrals, like lead magnet stuff, like surprise and delight, David Cartolano is the dude for e-newsletters. So you can go to wealthyinbox.news below, get on his newsletter, and learn about all things newsletter related, how to make them fun, how to make them cool, and how to make them grow.
Love it. Love it.
All
Thank
right.
you, Travis.
Yeah.
And thanks for listening.